So today's guest is Michael Dellarocca. He has many followers on his YouTube channel called Our Everyday Lives. He's a very inspiring person who is seeking information to enlighten others as well as himself. He's on the path of seeking and inspiring. So welcome, Michael.
Well, Adam, I've done a lot of videos, and this one I'm most excited to do because I get to share this experience with you, and you are a great mentor to me on my journey, and it's good to share this with the world, and happy to be here and happy to create this message with you.
Yeah, it's also very nice to have you, especially to have somebody who is accepting of information that puts a person on a path of enlightening themselves and also growing and expanding their energy and their frequency. And the information that you put out to your listeners is very inspiring, and it's very beautiful. It's a very go ahead.
And that's how we all find each other, and that's kind of how you and I crossed paths, because we all find each other through frequency. And you know, when I came across you years ago, I always felt very, very comfortable in your presence, even before I knew all that I know now. Right. And you know, you give off a certain energy, and you attract others that resonate in that energy, and that's just how the universe works. And you know, the title of my channel is Our Everyday Lives, and you know, it's important for people to know that you know, the right mentor will cross paths with you, and that's how this all planned out. And I'm very grateful that I was able to cross paths with you, and everything that you shared with me earlier on my journey prepared me for now.
Well, the feeling is mutual. It's almost like a ricochet. You know, you throw a ricochet in the air and it comes back. So obviously the energy you give off would attract the energy back to you, as you just said, in terms of frequency. For me, it's inspiring to have someone like yourself who's very interested in the subject to converse with and to share ideas and subjects over a very enlightening subject. Many people are on a path to finding themselves, and I believe listening to your channel and listening to listening to things you speak about, that many people would be inspired by it. So yeah. I'm inspired by the work you've been doing as well.
I appreciate that. And you know, like I say, we all have different missions, and we all have different abilities. So like for me, teaching people, for example, ways that they can heal themselves, self-healing. You know, if I talk about frequencies or grounding or being out in the sun or sun gazing, and you know, that's my role. You have a different role, right? You have the healing hands of God. Well, you're the Reiki master, so you know, you have a different ability.
Well, and I think life puts you on a path of having some setbacks and dips in the road that create the purpose, the soul's purpose for an individual. I mean, without any type of stress, we can't really grow. And without any setbacks, we really can't move forward. It's like almost like the pinball machine, where we take the two things on the side and we have to get bounced around till we can make it.
Yeah.
And it trains our soul to endure what life has to offer, and it just chisels us and refines us.
Yeah. And that's been this year. You know, the pressure has been applied, and you know,
absolutely. You
know, the messages are being received more and more, and everything is expanding exponentially now. So it's kind of like divine timing. So, you know, like when Dolores Cannon talked about the waves of volunteers, right? So you came in a little bit ahead of me, and you did the work, and then we crossed paths. And you know, I always had a scientific mind. I always liked to question everything, and I always wanted to learn and consume.
Right.
But you helped focus on certain things, showed me things that are part of our everyday life. And, you know, it's important to learn these things. So now I pass it forward. So we're all passing it down the line.
Absolutely.
You know?
Well, as long as when we can help somebody out on their journey, it's a very satisfying feeling to be able to help somebody, you know, when they're in a position where they're stuck or they need help. A lot of times people become selfish and they just become self-centered and hold back on helping others because they're worried about their own growth and their own individuality. But it's so important for everybody to be able to share this experience, because on a spiritual path, the more people we enlighten, the greater our journey becomes, and the greater our end game becomes, where we learn more about ourselves. So, in terms of yourself, what were some of the things that made you start this channel itself? What was your motivation to start it?
Uh, well, like I always say, firsthand experience changes you.
Right.
So, like for me, you know, whether from my firsthand experience was researching Nikola Tesla and the secrets of vibration and frequency, and then I started listening to the 528 hertz frequency, and you remember years ago how fatigued I was all the time. So, and if someone's hearing this for the first time, they don't know the story. I used to be very tired all the time and didn't know why, and the doctors didn't know why. And you know, just doing the research and just sleeping with a sound on and getting better sleep, and all of a sudden the fatigue goes away, and you're very grateful for that. So number one, you want to share that with other people because you're very grateful. And you know, I've always had a knack for mentoring, so I had a lot of either you know, people, young adults in the gym, or adults that, you know, pulled me aside and said that you should teach adults. Right. And you know, it's kind of like the universe telling you, you keep hearing it from many sources, you know, you should do this for adults. And you know, it calls you to do it. And you know, you listen to other people because the messages from the universe come from other people. And you know, we're just going to keep moving forward.
Yep. I remember when we did a reading for yourself with the Akashic Records, and it came out in terms of you speaking to a large group of people and a large number of people, and surely that's played out as we speak now. Speaking of the Akashic Records, which is a vast universe of information and knowledge that we're able to tap into to really receive information from for a person's almost CD of their life. And you know, I remember looking at and seeing the images. I remember seeing exactly what I just said, you know, leading the way and speaking to people, which is what you're doing now, which is excellent.
Yeah. And you know, you back in the day, when you shared that with me, and you taught me how to open the records. So you know, it might be something I need to revisit and fine tune, but I wasn't able really to when I tried it, opening the Akashic Records. It does open an energy, and I shared that with you, where I was sitting in it after opening it and seeing purple. But that was it. So like I tell people, everyone has different levels of abilities. So, but yeah, it is good even for healing purposes. Anytime that you're connecting with source frequency, you know, things that resonate with the universe. A lot of us are disconnected from these natural things, but that's actually another way of healing ourselves.
Yeah.
Opening the records.
Well, it doesn't, like you said, it's more of the energy itself than sometimes receiving the information. I think we can interpret that feeling that we get sometimes as a positive. And even just being in the energy of the Akashic Records creates a positive energy, which helps heal us. As you said, some people have a finer, maybe not insight, but can receive information on a different level or a different perception. But it all works the same way for everybody in the end, in terms of helping and assisting everybody.
And for you on your journey, like did you always have like a feeling or a calling that you knew you were a healer and you had these abilities, or was that something that you just fine-tuned over time?
I would say that when I was young, maybe 6 or 7 years of age, I remember knowing what people were thinking. I remember being as a kid, and my mother's friends would come over, and I kind of knew about them. And the only way I know about that now is because I remember thinking or recalling back when I was 7, I could actually recall the feelings and the times I met with their friends and what they were, what they were about. And then as I just progressed through my adolescence, I knew what people were suffering and what their problems were. So for me, it was like I had to tone it down, because when you know something, people first of all get scared of what they hear, but if you know it, you really can't hide it, and then you wind up wanting to just be truthful and honest with every situation, and that's not how society and life really works.
Yeah.
Not
And
not at that age, anyhow.
yeah, and I think we know a lot of who we are as kids. The matrix and society makes us shut it down. So like
Absolutely.
you kind of felt that as a kid. You know,
Well,
people don't know he's actually Professor X. You know, you go like, and I'm
well,
the Wolverine. So we're like the X-Men.
that's
He's
right.
Xavier, and I'm Wolverine.
I don't have the shield in the back. What I
Yeah, that's
wanted.
America.
That's right. What I wanted
Yeah,
to say is that it was difficult for me to go along with the programming.
yeah,
At a very early age, I recognized in all my stages of life, I saw people going with the flow of things, but not really challenging things that were going against their. At that time, I didn't know it was a soul, but it was going against my true essence of who I was. And every aspect, in order to overcome it, I had to be an individual. And being
yeah,
an individual made me challenge things at home, in my own house, with my own family, which was the first example of that, of not following the sheep mentality. And then, and then it turns out when you go to work and you start off your job and things don't seem right, when you're a 25-year-old going into work, and you see everybody going along with things, and you say, wait a second, this doesn't make sense to me. I cannot do it. I can't insult my soul. So I
yeah,
would think, yeah, I think that, right, each stage of our life presents itself with a specific lesson, and if we overcome the lesson and we learn from the lesson, we grow. But most of the time we go around in a circle because our ego gets in the way of blocking
yeah.
us.
Yeah, and I can reflect back when I was a kid, and always having the thought or the drive to be a superhero. It was not something that I could ever let go.
Right.
And then looking at things, and like, this doesn't make sense. And Dolores Cannon spoke about the indigo children, and that's describing, like, there's a lot of indigo children today, but like having that spiritual immune system where you come in with the prior energy from past lives, and
Right.
it's set there to help you with whatever your mission is going to be. So the seeds are there as kids, but sadly they're destroyed by the matrix and subconscious programs, and obey and give up everything, and follow the
Well,
matrix life, and
Well,
that's it.
we're programmed on every level. It's not just in our own personal lives. We're programmed through the media. And as we know right now, how the media is manipulative in terms of trying to sway people to whatever their main goal is, and people are pushing themselves into it. I always tell
Yeah,
everybody, it's like the person who owns a dog throws a dog bone in one direction, and the dog chases, but the other person, the dog owner, has a different agenda, and like leaves the dog chasing the bone. And so the media does that with us. They throw us in
yeah.
one direction and we fight it out.
Yeah, I shared a lot of times that the best way to deal with anxiety and like the depression is to actually shut the TV off, and you get out in nature, and just be with friends and people that resonate with you. So when you really you turn off the television, there's no fear.
Right.
So it's important to disconnect sometimes, and like a lot of the times I film these videos out in nature, and I go on these hikes, and all the people that you see are happy, and sometimes you turn on the TV, and it looks like it's the end, and gloom and doom, but when you're just out in nature with people, there's birds chirping, and
Well, your
you know
videos certainly show that. I mean, I remember the blue heron that was in the background of what you were filming, and so you had all those serendipitous moments where nature would have its calling to you. But more so, actually, not just the birds, but the other entities that are flying behind your neck and your back in the background, way up, which
yeah.
is interesting.
Yeah. I think
Maybe you
that,
want to, yeah, to share a little bit about that. That's interesting stuff.
yeah. Well, actually in the last few months, more have appeared in the background. So, and I actually did a collection. So, a lot of what's happening right now is the tearing down of the veil. So we were given a life, a reality that's not 100% true,
Right.
and there are other life forms. It's harder to understand if you're new to this. I did a video on it. I did a collaboration of uh, different times and energy, or a UFO, or whatever you would like to call it, appears behind me as I'm speaking. And the best way to explain it is that certain energies vibrate outside of the visible light spectrum. So we see invisible light. So the camera picks them up. And I watched years ago. It's the easiest way that people could kind of understand this. I watched Ancient Aliens. They did an interview with a Native American man, and he spoke about this place in Arizona where extraterrestrials, or whatever you'd like to call them, they would show up with their ships. And what he said was, you wouldn't see them because they vibrate on a different frequency. So years ago, when I was younger, I didn't really understand what he meant, but today I understand what he meant. So
Yeah.
technically, there could be someone right next to me, and you might not be able to see them. But a lot of times, because of the way the camera works, I've picked up some evidence of our space family, or whatever you want to call them. Maybe it's the Ashtar. I know you have connections with that as well, Adama. But it's what we're going to realize is that we live many times, and we're reincarnated. And Dolores Cannon spoke about this time, and
Well,
we're all
yeah.
waking up in the right timing
Well,
for the right moment.
absolutely. It's a matter. It's a matter of where we shine the flashlight in life, or sometimes life will turn the flashlight back on us. So we want to perceive things at the level of perception that protects our ego to the greatest extent possible. So we shine a light on things that we can just see without having to see the whole picture until we're ready to see the whole picture. And I think people go through their lives, as you just spoke about, with reincarnating and coming into a new life, trying to revisit the past life, or the memories of something that they once experienced, in order to enhance the present moment, so that they can grow from that memory and work on themselves, in presently. And I think, as you're speaking now, as you're enlightening yourself and you enlighten your audience, most of the people are like seeing things probably that they've never seen before, or actually expanding on things that they're beginning to see. So you're shining the flashlight to a brighter extent, and it's helping the people you're around and who you converse with.
Yeah, and personally, I mean, I've had like little tastes of seeing and hearing and experiencing things that are unexplained, or, as I like to say, outside of the visible light spectrum, because the energy is there. So I've seen certain things with my own eyes, but it's not on a normal circumstance, right? So I know some people could see it all the time, but it's always different when you have that firsthand experience. So like when you see something and you experience something, it's it opens your mind up to so many more possibilities. I have a friend, and she shared with me, she's open-minded to say the spiritual realm, but but she's kind of like me, like on both dimensions, or whatever you want to call it. Like, she's a doctor, and she spoke about how years ago she was out in this place, like kind of wooded area, but like a area that was kind of open with I guess a place where they have like free concerts outside, but it's open. And she remembers seeing a 7-foot like dark, just like a shadow figure with red eyes. And it's interesting because I've actually watched shows, and I'm like, you hear people talk about them, and here I have someone that I actually know that is sharing with me that she had this experience. So, when it takes one experience to kind of like jolt a person, and then it opens your mind up.
Right.
So like, even myself, if I never had that experience, I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
you're not sure. you know. So like I could say that I have these, you know, I get both. I actually did a video on spirit orbs that show up in my videos as well. Maybe one will show up right now. You know, that actually happened during a live stream not too long ago. But yeah. So you know, when you actually see these things show up, you have your firsthand experience, and then it opens you up to more possibilities, and just for you know, me, like I said, the easy way to do it is, especially when it comes to healing, is we know our body, we know how we feel, and then all of a sudden you feel different. So like I can reflect on, number one, the 528 hertz frequency and healing myself, number one, and number two, you know, like when you did Reiki on me, and you know, it helped clean certain things out, and you know, like experiencing like you did the Reiki and then like falling asleep so peacefully, you know, it opens your mind up. You're like, you know, you question it at first because it's new and that's normal.
Right.
But then when you have the firsthand experience, you're like, wow. And then it just keeps going. That's my motto, keeps going.
Keeps going. It's true.
Yeah.
You know, as you reflect on the subject of alien life and extraterrestrial life, you know, most people, they always say the biggest doubters are the biggest believers, and you know,
Yeah.
the people who yes you to death sometimes really don't believe anything the person is saying. So in this case, in case like that, the same thing happened with me. I always had these conversations with people who never shared any type of information that would have seen as, you know, metaphysical or paranormal, so to speak. And they always shared. And when I was younger, this happened to me. When I was younger, that happened to me. It happened with like numerous people. You know, so as we said at the very beginning, when a person's frequency matches the energy of the information, then people then open up and then reveal stuff that they wouldn't or couldn't reveal to anybody else. And that type of stuff is important, because as you're saying and we're speaking, once we enhance our vibration or frequency and we expand upon it, then we're not only we open energetically, but we're open up to more information to take in and to learn and absorb. And most people then think the person's either crazy or there's something wrong with them once they've expanded. It's like you can't keep the genie out of the bottle. Like once it gets too big for the bottle, and everybody wants to stay in the bottle because it's comfortable. Going inward is the most scariest thing, because getting to know ourselves is something that most people are not familiar with. We know how to go outward.
Yeah. And that's actually a big part of this process. A lot of people experience it. I experience it a little bit more than most people, but I guess it's my mission is a little bit you know, bigger, or whatever it calls for me to be in isolation. And I did a lot of videos on isolation. So a lot of people, if you're on the what most people call the ascension journey, you go through a period of isolation. So during that time, you go within and you have time for yourself. And you know, like for me on my journey, you know, being alone in the past, it gave me time to research and learn new things. And you know, you start expanding and going down the rabbit hole. You know, I guess in a sense, I'm grateful for the times, you know, being alone, so that, you know, you have the ability to expand your consciousness. And you know, and now it's a matter of being alone to create. So I have time without distractions. And you know, I speak about Tesla a lot. So you know, he said, be alone. You know, no big laboratory is needed in which to think. So you actually could be alone anywhere. And you know, that's where you find the universe, because we get a lot of distractions.
Right.
And you know, and when we say like you want to, the whole world is shifting right now. So some people have already shifted. That's why a lot of us are alone, because you can't go back down to the 3D if you're in the 5D. So it's harder. And at the end of my videos, I always say life is so much better when we're all together. But you know, little by little, we reach critical mass, and more people will begin to resonate with it. You know, I know you shared, and even me on my journey, you know, some people that are not ready for the message, they might mock and shame the lowest state of vibrational consciousness, but they don't get it yet. And some people are not ready to receive the message. But as we could see in this past year, people are forced to go within. And once you go within, now you're opened up to other possibilities. So,
Absolutely.
and that's like a energy theme. I feel that I'm going to talk about it soon, but that we're going to go towards in the upcoming year, where we can learn our lessons without having to go through such the harsh, because sometimes we got to get, knocked down so that we can make changes,
Well, right. But yeah, but then the universe will either hit us with a feather or it hits us with a brick, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Hopefully the feathers coming forward. We get the
no,
feathers.
right. But most people don't listen to the feather because they don't take it as it's coming from a universal message. They look at
Yeah.
it as they're in control of their fate, which they are. But we do things over and over again and think there's no consequences for our actions. And so, you know, not only that, but as we speak about growing, we have those particular lessons, and we were supposed to learn by being taking in the subtle energy and the subtle information. But our ego just keeps getting in the way of trying to like demand what it wants. And as you just said, we were talking about these particular times when people are now having to go in, the people who always went out for like material things and material items and possessions. And now those things don't really matter as much, because those things don't get you. They don't bring happiness, and they don't bring anything more than just an ego satisfaction. And now the true satisfaction, the growth, is that internal growth and expansion. And your message of the time you're taking out to make these videos and to share with your audience is inspiring for them, and definitely expansive for all the people that who are reaching, the audience you're reaching. And that's admirable. That's admirable, because a lot of people who are depressed and feeling down are just feeling down and depressed and not doing anything about it. Right? They say,
Yeah.
you have to carry the book bag on your back and go to school, even if it's heavy, to learn. So,
Yeah. And, I think that, what this time period is teaching everyone is that the money and the valuables is worthless when you're alone. You can't do anything with it, right? You can't even do anything with it. So what is it actually worth? So, at least, during this past year, I got a small group of good friends, and it helps pass the time, and I'm grateful for them.
right,
Like what is all, you got to have the right people around you, and you're realizing that if you're not free, the money's not worth anything. The possessions are not worth anything. And everyone is taking that. That's why it's the global reset. So everyone is taking this time period a little differently. So some people are flourishing and some people are having a hard time. So we got to let go of the old life, and this is our evolutionary journey. So how are we going to evolve for what our reality is going to be?
right. Well, on a more earthly energy or subject, obviously we spoke before a little bit about the media itself, and of course we're discussing a spiritual journey and expansion, and increasing our level of consciousness and awareness. But on this particular plane that we're existing on now, we all we've been being bombarded with information, and many people don't know how to navigate through that information. If people are fearful and stressed, they revert back to the handrail and hold on to it for dear life, and want to hear the information that actually mimics the anxiety that they create, so they feel comfortable. And
Yeah.
we're trying. A lot of people who've never entered this world of the 5D world, first looking probably for a way of how can I get my hands off something I'm so comfortable with.
Yeah, it's a lot of big changes for people. I mean, even I guess you and I just earlier on our journey years ago, you go through changes. Now this is nothing for us, but yeah, there's a lot of everywhere, whether it's on the tell lies to your vision, or even on the internet. you need to be able to use class sentience and navigate what's real and what's not, because there's so much confusion, and it's done by design. There's a lot of illusions cast, and I've spoken about and defeated the goddess Medea, and these terms that are used, a lot of mocking is done to make people not believe in the spiritual realm, but things are used to hurt our people. So the goddess Medea is the goddess of illusion and deception. So Medea is not to inform, Medea is to deceive. And everything is put in front of us in plain sight. So that's why, everything is going to just, I think, just start rolling all at once. And, when the tsunami comes crashing down, there's going to be so much information, and it's hard for it's going to be hard for most people if it comes that way, because I've been unlearning and relearning for so long, and so have you. So how will a person react when they realize that 80% of everything that you were ever taught was a lie? And I've kind of broken almost all of the. There's probably some other stuff I still need to learn. We all, we always have to keep an open mind. There's always stuff that we need to learn. But yeah, it's interesting.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about a person's upbringing. Most parents want their children to be safe. They want them to be protected. They shield them from the truth. They keep them in a specific place, not out of harm, but in the intention of safety. And sometimes we're misinformed as children because we don't reach our true autonomy, and we just have to hold on to what we're told. If you come from a loving home, you'll most likely try to mimic that behavior, unless you hit your own setbacks and there's different plans for you, and then you wind up realizing that this is not the reality. And then there's people who go through hard times with family members, and they struggle, and they have to break free from the family and not follow the sheep mentality, or the herding process, which takes place. And that's a rough road, because you feel abandoned, and you lose the feeling of love and belonging. But a lot of people are still in that mode, and they don't break free from that. And these times right now, specifically what's going on, have played into the greatest fears and the greatest habitual things that most people know about.
And it's all done in the mind.
Yep.
So there's really nothing else out there but when it's created in the mind. And a lot of people, when you really sit back and look at it, it's nobody's fault, because they were given these subconscious programs. So I talk about subconscious programs, and we download subconscious programs from birth to 7, and this is done by design of nature. So it's actually for our survival. So we're downloading, and we know this is what happens, so on and so forth, and now it's in our mind so that we could go the rest of our life, and we have these subconscious programs. So that was taken advantage of. And the other way is to just repeat something. So you could repeat something, and even if it's a total lie, you just repeat it, and it becomes part of the subconscious mind. So I think the more we learn about the subconscious mind, we research the subconscious mind and how the reality works, we could all improve. But you have to have the open mind for it. And that's what we're experiencing right now. We're experiencing the shift, but it's also what our reality is. So everyone's kind of like I feel like also like we have our energy field. So it's almost done by a divine design. Call it a divine design, that we're all separate right now. So we don't have the exterior vibrations affecting us. So we're going to be where we need to be, and everyone's going to be where they need to be. So like my perception, I don't really see much negativity You know, it's not very like in the old Matrix life, you know, popular and all these people, but the few people that you have around you, they're all resonating with you. So it's kind of like the recalibration of everything.
Yeah, and
So
that's where the part of the loneliness uh, or depression begins for a lot of people who are on the ascension journey, as you mentioned before, because feeling isolated and alone and not fitting in with what the majority of the people are doing is a lonely road. But it's also a rewarding road in the end, or on the journey itself, right? It's
yeah,
like you mentioned, I think not the end game, it's the journey itself. That's what's important.
yeah. And then that's why you need to be a light warrior, because you know, I speak, you know, I'm very grateful. I have a lot of you know, my close family and close friends are very supportive. But I know people that you know, that I have a lot of people write to me, and you know, sometimes their parents, you know, they want nothing to do with them because they're stuck in the past, or their children want nothing to do with them, or you know, their spouse, you know, husband or wife, you know, and that's why this time period was prophesized, but it wasn't maybe what we expected. So that also goes to the ego. Like we read maybe these ancient texts, and we think it's going to be a certain way, but it is kind of playing out, but it's just playing out in a different way that maybe we didn't really expect it to play out. So we're
Yeah,
seeing that shift right now, and we're finding our authentic soul family. So I mean, I did find you, so
same here, same here. Yeah,
so
this is definitely, it's been definitely a challenging time for people who've not opened themselves up to growth. But like you said, the people who are working on themselves and have started this journey, it's become very rewarding for a lot of people to be able to sit with oneself and to actually feel the the inner growth and the work that is paying off now for those people.
yeah. So, but the shifts are important. That's how we evolve. We're growing. We're growing as the collective.
Yeah,
So, you know, there's a lot of pressure. There's been a lot of pressure this year, and you know, we're seeing it happen exponentially. So, you know, you and I might have woken up or expanded, or whatever the terms people like to use years ago, but now we're seeing the entire collective begin to awaken.
yeah,
So, and you know, it is a lot. You know, I talk about ascension symptoms too. I could reflect on the past too, and this was separate from the fatigue that I had years ago. But like sometimes when you're actually unlearning and relearning, and Dolores Cannon spoke about this. She said if someone was given the truth all at once, the physical body would fail them. And I could see that though, because I could go back in the past, and as I started going down the rabbit hole and learning, and then like I find something, and then 3 days to a full week consume all these videos, and like I would just lay on the couch, feel exhausted.
right.
Just, but it actually taxes the body.
Yeah, it does.
Sleeping.
Well, you're absorbing as much information as you can so that you could be knowledgeable on what you want to learn, and just not only that, it's just the experience of seeking. Some people are just seekers and they're not satisfied with the answers. They want to know more about something, and that's a never-ending journey for people. They don't. That's not something that ends. That's something that just keeps evolving. It's like going around in circles, but each time you go around, you will learn more about the next time around that you did the previous one. And I find out myself, I find that right now I've not exhausted the information that I've taken in. I've just not grown tired of it. I've realized that it's important for me to rely upon my own instincts and my own intuition. And when I use that, I feel very confident and I feel very powerful in my own way. I give my power away too much. I feel sometimes by actually not learning too much, but getting too many different opinions about different things. So for me, it was important, and that was a natural process. And I've heard other people go through that as well. So it wasn't just something that I decided; it's just probably a transgression of what was to come. And now I feel as I sit with myself, if I do a meditation or I do a reading for someone, or I do a reading for myself, it becomes genuine and it becomes authentic for me, and I feel it.
Yeah, and I feel like that was something that I just recently went through as well, and that's like the tests from the universe, and the tests are to trust yourself and don't give our powers away. So a lot of times,
Absolutely.
we think, oh, this person is this spiritual guru person, and or it says this in this book or something, but you actually might have the answer inside of you,
Right.
and that's what the power was to be given to the common man and woman. So that's why it's important to be living your everyday life, and that represents you and me, and
Yeah.
we're just if people just saw us in the street, and I get that, and maybe you get that too, but they would have no clue how I am. They expect that to be a spiritual teacher or leader or warrior, that you have to be a certain way, and that's not true. And you know it's not the most popular person that holds the key, but the power codes are hidden in plain sight, and that's what we represent.
Yeah. Well, I remember, like I have a friend, Gabrielle Orr, and as I was learning the Akashic records under her guidance, and in terms of myself, as I listen to the Akashic records, I refer back to some of the things she said, which I heard myself, which is what the Akashic records always repeats back is that you're loved and you are enough. You're enough. And no matter how many times I do a reading for myself, I hear you are enough. That's basically the message that the Akashic Records wants everyone to know. But most people don't feel enough, so they don't accept that message. It's almost as if it's blocked. And if we unblock ourselves from that and we just feel it, it becomes like true love and a true connection to the universe. But as we're saying now, we don't feel enough. We feel like we have to go shopping for our soul's growth and go to the supermarket, so to speak, and fill our soul up with information and knowledge. And I think the universe gives us the increments of where we're supposed to be, when we're supposed to do it, and
Yeah,
at what point we're supposed to cut ties with people that no longer serve us and don't have who don't really have our best interest in mind. But we really only reach that conclusion when we have our own best interest in mind, and then we really can drop people from our lives who no longer serve us.
yeah, and that's it's important too, because sometimes when you hold on to things, you don't have room for new things.
Right.
So and that's the whole recalibration and going through isolation. It's actually important. So I'm all for real people. So I rather have a couple of real people, and we don't need fake people in our everyday lives. So it's important to actually go through this, and I rather just have a couple of friends. I don't need to have
Right. Right.
Mr. Popular.
When
It's
you could feel the energy of people without a person speaking, and just being in their presence and knowing what their energy is like and what you feel in their presence, that's the true understanding of a person. We're
yeah,
not so much what we speak, but what we vibrate or what we resonate. And your channel and your message resonates that type of feel. And as I've seen you film some of your videos and watched you, it's almost as if it's a channeled message coming into you, and it's very interesting and very inspiring to listen and to watch. And it's very admirable because the information that you're presenting is excellent, and it's also, as I said before, inspiring. And many of your listeners are feeling that as well, and that's an excellent thing.
I appreciate that, and I kind of go about ways a different way, but I feel that that's how we move things forward. Not to copy and do things the way everyone else does it. So I kind of go about things a little bit differently, but seems to be working. and just got to keep going, and eventually the ball just keeps rolling down the hill, and it gets faster and bigger.
What do you see yourself doing within the next 5 years? Have you thought about that?
I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow.
No,
No,
that's okay.
I really do. Just I go one day at a time, and but right now I go like what I want to talk about. So like I have a couple of videos already done, and I have like some things written down that I want to talk about. So I just take one day at a time. But I guess the universe laughs at those that have plans.
Yeah.
That's actually what I've learned, Adam. I don't make any plans anymore. Because the only thing that's real is yourself, I guess. So you might expect something to happen or be a certain way, but it doesn't work out that way. So I do have infinite and inexhaustible belief and faith that this channel and what I do will exponentially grow. It's just a matter of when. That I don't know.
Right.
Sometimes we talk about things and you say something's going to happen, but you just don't know the when, and that's really what it is. So I just take one day at a time when it comes to that, and it really feeds my soul,
Right.
and to all the light warriors that are watching this transmission right now, I appreciate all of you. And I guess we're getting kind of towards the end of this, and I want to take this time to make everyone understand that you should always be grateful for your mentors. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you. So I'm very grateful for everything that you've done for me. And the right person will come into your life, and
Well,
always show gratitude for that, because
well,
people look out, pay it forward.
well, it's like a tennis match. When a person throws it off, throws the ball to the other side, it comes back the same way. So as a teacher, I always said to my classes, how we throw the ball against the walls, how the ball comes back. Throw it hard,
Yeah,
it comes back hard. Throw it soft, it comes back soft. So the energy or the information that I presented was somebody like yourself who's interested in hearing it and making a connection to that. And then it becomes a springboard for someone like yourself to move forward where you want to go. Just getting back to one thing I wanted to say was, as you know, because you speak about it, is our power of intent. And what's meant to be sometimes is meant to be, and what's not meant to be sometimes we have to just shift into a different direction, and maybe we get what we want, but just by moving in a different path we get it. There's so much power in the power of intent and what we want to create or manifest with our thoughts. And in terms of healing, myself, as doing the distance Reiki and the shamanic work, I know for myself that my power of intent, if it's clear and strong, it can move mountains based upon what I project. And, so getting back to the message of with people and where they're at, and sometimes people are disappointed because they're not getting what they really want. But sometimes people are not getting what they really want because it's not really defined in what they want. It's not clear. They want something, but their energy doesn't match what they really verbally speaking.
yeah,
So I
and
mean, that's something for the audience to understand as well.
yeah,
From my
and
experience, anyhow, I've had my
yeah,
struggles. I've had my personal struggles with my own. It's not victim mode. It's not feeling sorry. It's a matter of calling a spade and looking at it for what things are, right?
yeah,
And then by doing that, then you take the power in your hands to look at it from a realistic standpoint. Because once we become the victim of a circumstance, then now we give our energy away to the situation, and
yeah,
we're all used to doing that. I catch myself doing that many, many times, and I'm surrounded by people who will remind me, wait a second, just because you think you know that doesn't mean you know this. Right. That's true. I'm a human being, as you say, going through an experience, right?
yeah,
Well, we all are, but we're all getting caught up in a lot of the things that the roles we're used to playing as human beings. We're used to we probably feel, a lot of us, that we can generate love and attention by not self-pity, but being a victim. And we project victimhood, or whatever you want to call it, outwardly in some way, and the universe hits us back with that. I mean,
Mm.
you know yourself, you've projected positive things and received positive things. I've received positive things and sometimes negative things for the things that I was thinking about. And I created it. I manifested the negativity. I felt it.
Interesting.
So,
Um,
you know, we're powerful.
yeah, yeah, we really are, and we do create the reality.
Yes.
You know, but again, and I recently talked about that, and you know, we'll if we could talk about, you know, because each one of our journeys is different, but we're all given a Ken show. I recently talked about Ken show, and it's kind of like the thing that drives us. So it kind of levels us up. So there will be one aspect of the life that is going to be very difficult, but it's done in a way to get us motivated to level up. So in a sense, we could be grateful for it, and you know, but it's
Could you
not.
relate that to anything in your life?
Oh yeah, I mean, like the thing that I shared was the loneliness, you know, and being alone and not like maybe having a girlfriend, you know. So like you know, if you're forced to, you know, keep going within, you know, take care of yourself, keep, you know, keep moving forward, keep the mind occupied, the time that's given. Don't waste the time. Sometimes we might feel like the time is wasting away. I have this time in front of me, so I'm going to keep creating and I'm going to keep moving forward, right? So you know, sometimes a person could be trapped in a terrible relationship. You know, I could reflect and say I'm grateful that I'm free. So it gives me the time to keep creating. You know, so everyone's given their Ken show according to uh, their mission or their journey. So the isolation was important for me to get the work done.
Right.
So yeah, you taught me, uh, you know, how to be a good mentor. So you know, now I'm mentoring a lot of people. So you know, sometimes you know, we got to be conscious that a good mentor, you know, kind of helps you a little bit, but doesn't do everything. So like you kind of give, and then you have to figure it out on your own. So a lot of things, you know, like in the beginning, you know, like you, for example, you've helped me out, but then it comes to a point where now you need to take the ball and run with it.
Right.
So you know, we kind of always maybe want like answers and stuff, and you know, it's maybe better off that the answers are not given to us because we figure it out on our own. So like now I could turn and you know, talk to people and you know, say that you know, I figured this stuff out on my own because you didn't I didn't rely years ago on you as a crutch. You help me, and that's like what my nana always says there's a time for this and a time for that. So there's a time where you need help, and then there's a time where now get going.
Right.
And
Right.
even till today, you know, because Adam is Professor X, so you know, he knows a lot of things that I don't know, and he won't share them with me, and it's okay. So, but I know a lot of people ask me questions, so I'm using this time to show you like how I mentor too. So like you want to give, but when a lot of people might ask me a question, you know, it's not to like do everything for you, and you know, you show a little bit, and then you have to do things on your own. You know,
Right.
like even
Well, true teaching is allowing the child to fish for himself. Show him how to fish, and then fish for yourself. It becomes selfish for a person who wants to teach and then take ownership for a person, right?
yeah,
You have a lot of people who are ego based on giving information and making people reliant upon them and holding a connection to them and not giving them space to actually go out and learn it, because it becomes a possession for people. And to be a true teacher is to be able to give information and let go and not have the response of your students be based upon the connection of them not leaving. It's most, let me teach you and then now go and now learn yourself. That's true teaching and that's true education. And that's what you're trying to accomplish. And I know certainly that's my goal in terms of speaking to people, or, you know,
yeah.
as you speak. Yeah.
No, this was a lot of fun. you
Yeah,
know.
this was very interesting. It was a nice conversation with you, and it was inspiring for me, and it was actually cathartic for me to be able to talk to you.
Yeah, it was.
Many interviews I do, I talk to people who are above above and beyond their own means, so they don't even have the time, nor do they want to give anybody the time to speak. So we had a mutual conversation, which was enlightening for me and also enjoyable for me.
Yeah, it's I think that maybe we'll do a regular podcast. We'll call it Two Cheese from Brooklyn or something.
That's not a bad idea.
Two Cheese
That's
from
act- no, I see. You see the background I put up, right? The New York City background.
City now, yeah.
So you got to have Captain America in black and white on one of the buildings.
I'll tell the viewers. We used to work together, and I'll go looking for him, and I'll see like his fellow coworkers. I'm like, "Where's Adam?" And they go, "Oh, he's in the gym cheeing it up." So I see him in the morning doing the chi.
I'm
That's how
still
he became
doing
the
it.
chi master. So yeah.
I added the Wim Hof method to my repertoire.
Important. Yeah, I sent you something. I started training in the cold in the morning. I share with the light warriors how I always hated the cold. So I'm trying to get out
Yeah,
there.
it's very
So
very interesting.
yeah. But always experiment with things. If we push it away, and the cold is something that I don't like. So I'm trying to get accustomed to that.
All right. Anyway, listen, it was very enjoyable and inspiring for me to speak with you tonight. And my audience, and I know certainly your large audience, will be interested in hearing this. They'll hear an authentic conversation between two people and a genuine conversation. And as you said, we'll definitely do it again.
Yeah.
And we'll keep definitely in contact. So
yeah.
enjoy the evening, and thank you for joining me. And thank you for your compliments. I'm gracious for them.
I appreciate you, and thanks everything that you've done for me. And we pick each other up.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Without a student, the teacher doesn't feel satisfied. Without a teacher, the student doesn't feel satisfied. So it's a mutual relationship.
Yeah.
Both ways. All right, Mike.
All right. It was good seeing you. Good talking to you.